RCAP, distinguished speakers and presenters of WICULS 2015, delegates and participants of the summit, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good morning and a very warm Malaysia welcome to the second day of WICULS 2015. We hope that you've all had a good rest last night and are all refreshed today for our second day of the summit. So distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let's begin our second day of the summit with our first forum of the day, which will be discussing the topic Intergenerational Learning and Success, how you plan for the future. So without further ado, I would now like to invite our moderator, Professor Dr. Muhammad Kamal Haji Harun, the Director of RCAP, together with our two panelists, yang berbahagia, Professor Dr. Muhaya Muhammad from the Professor Muhaya Eye and LASIK Center, and yang berbahagia, Professor Emeritus Dr. Hud Saleh from the National University of Malaysia for the first forum.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. To all our distinguished guests, welcome to forum number 1 for this morning. And the title of our forum this morning will be Intergenerational Learning and Success. How you plan for future. Now, we are honored to have the presence of our two distinguished panelists. The first on my left is Professor Dr. Muhaya Muhammad, and welcome, Prof.
Thank you.
And Prof. Emeritus Dr. Hud Saleh. Welcome again, Prof. Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin, allow me to introduce our panelists. Our first speaker, Professor Dr. Muhaya Haji Muhammad, is currently the Director and Consultant Eye Surgeon of Prof. Muhaya Eye and LASIK Center in Kajang, Malaysia. She was the first ophthalmologist in Southeast Asia to perform bladeless femtosecond LASIK using the VisuMax system. I really hope I pronounced this right, which is the latest bladeless LASIK system. Besides her career as ophthalmologist, her passion in inspirational and motivational talk has developed since she was young. She has been appointed as a Fellow of Dakwah for Islamic Dakwah Foundation Malaysia, YADIM, since 2013. She was awarded as Anugerah Pendakwah Wanita 2014 by YADIM. She is also the founder for Prof. Muhaya Mind Academy. Professor Dr. Muhaya uses the holistic approach in dealing with her patients by stressing the importance of being grateful at every moment in life. Her ability to incorporate Islamic values into everyday life and her professional practice makes her a much sought-after speaker in personal and professional development talk and eye surgeon in Malaysia. She's frequently invited to local mass media to speak about inspiration and motivation in life. Now, welcome, Prof. again.
Thank you.
Our second speaker is Professor Emeritus Dr. Hud Saleh. Now, he refuses this text that was given to me, so I'm going to read the one that he prepares for me, which is more current, I presume. Professor Emeritus Dr. Hud Saleh went to school in 1949 at King George V School, Seremban, and at the Anglo-Chinese School. I requested for the date, actually, 1949. He did not want to reveal it to me, but
I did reveal it.
No, I'm just joking. In 1963, he went to the Colombo Plan Scholarship to Australia. In 1971, he did a Bachelor's Degree of Letters, University of Oxford, UK, did his PhD at Oxford and at St. Catherine's College. In 1992, he was appointed as Professor of Medical Anthropology by UKM. In 1997, appointed to the Foundation Chair of Malay Studies at Victoria University of Wellington in New Zealand, and this was between 1997 to 2000. Now, Professor Emeritus Dr. Hud Saleh have got a special interest in indigenous people, as well as forestry and sustainability. Now, he has written 2 books entitled Health and Beauty from Rainforests, as well as Peoples and Tradition, published by a French publisher, Didier Millet. He is also the president of Squash, Chairman International Competition Malaysia, National Squash Champion, and in 1973 to 1976, and played squash 7 years for Malaysia. Welcome, Professor Emeritus Datuk Dr. Hud Saleh. Now, a little bit of housekeeping. Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Dr. Muhaya Haji Muhammad will be delivering her presentation first, followed then by Professor Emeritus Datuk Dr. Hud Saleh on the topic Intergenerational Training and Success. How do you plan for the future? Now we have 30 minutes for each speaker to deliver their presentation, after which a Q&A session will be held for 20 minutes after both speakers have presented their presentation. Now, since we start a little late this morning, I have to be fair to the speakers. I'll give you your 30 minutes each. So I have dealt with Zainal. Can we have our coffee slightly move a bit forward? Without further ado, may I request Professor Dr. Muhaya to first begin your presentation. Please.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlu uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi yassir wa la tu'assir wa tamim bi khair. My highly respected Prof. Dr. Kamal, Professor Hud Saleh, and of course, the auspicious audience from the World Islamic University Leaders Summit, and of course, fellow Malaysians. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh once again. I really cherish this opportunity, and I thank Tan Sri Dr. Zul for making me aware of this and inviting me. It's a great honor to share my experience as an academician, previously in University Kebangsaan Malaysia, and currently I'm in Cyberjaya University Medical College of Sciences. And I thought I wanted to start with some pictures of the eye. You know, we are trained, we would like to be one of the servants of Allah who always see Allah in everything that we do. And it has been my passion in training medical students that whenever you study medicine, your intention is to study the creations, highest creations of Allah. And believe me, brothers and sisters, if we look at the pictures of the eye, the one that I'm showing you here is actually, this circle here is the nerve of the eye, which contains 1.2 million fibers. Can you imagine 1.2 million wires to connect how big it is? But in the eye, subhanallah, is packed in only size of 1.5 millimeter, and that's the nerve that connects the eye to the brain. So we see with the eye and the brain. Next one, there's our retina, where we see, there's the eye in the eye, very small area. The size is only 0.5 millimeter, but it contains 6 million cones for us to see detail and color. And the rest, we have 120 million rods for us to see the periphery. And this is a picture of the eye, subhanallah. If you were to see the eye, we have only one, I'm trying to get used to it, okay. You see there's a transparent, only transparent substance in our body, the cornea and the lens. Just to have a bit of medical talk, lens is when you have the cataract, cornea is when you have the eye transplant. And this is where we do eye surgery to correct your vision. Okay, I feel very happy to present this slide where actually I was able to show the difference between performing laser on someone who is anxious and calm. If you notice on the left, the patient is very calm. If you look at the way the laser cut the body is very smooth, whereas on the other one, you see a lot of white patches. In other words, when the emotion is not so positive, we have a lot of changes in the body and how the laser, which is a makhluk of Allah, responds to our body. And notice that when I do the surgery, This is the latest surgery where we got smile, which takes only 2 minutes per eye normally. And notice the patient does not move at all because it's the area that I'm working on, there's no pain fiber at all. Subhanallah. We can do so much to the eye and there's no pain because Allah does not permit, because there's no nerve there. And notice on the right, I was having a lot of difficulty doing her eye because the patient was anxious and the energy wasn't smooth. Of course, it can be successful, but it takes longer. Why I'm showing you this slide is just to show something live, that the whole universe, the whole makhluk, actually we are all connected. Subhanallah. And that is the message that I think all of us want to be here, that we as Muslims, we love everyone and everyone deserves all the good that we are doing. So this comes to me that I think whatever we do, we have to have this core principle. When you're talking about how we plan for the future, for success, I think we have to, I'm sure we are doing it already, but it would be good if we consciously think of these 3 principles whatever we do. Whatever profession we are, being a lecturer or administrator, we must have the intention of ubudiyah to Allah. And I would like to share here that after reaching the age of 57 years old and being in university for so long, I came to realization that if only we put Salah as our number 1 priority and make it our core business, and the other thing outside Salah is a second business, subhanallah. And this has been practiced in our center, where in Zuhur there's someone who azan and we have the Salat berjamaah during Zuhur in our center, and we do not delay our prayer just to do something that's worldly. So we put Allah first. Number 2, mas'uliyah, we must be responsible for our life. This is something that we want to teach our generation, to be responsible for what we get in our life and not to be blameless and trying to look at factors outside ourselves to change the world. We have to begin with ourselves. And of course, the 3rd principle, itqan. Itqan means to do things to the best of ability. And we know Allah loves Muslims who are strong, not the weak ones. So let's reflect. If we talk to our students, especially those lecturers, we always say this: a good teacher tell, average teacher tell, a good teacher explain, an excellent teacher inspires. And we want to know the difference between motivation and inspiration. Motivation is just a motive for action. We do an action for a motive, but inspiration means you are doing in spirit, at your ruh level, at your heart level. This makes us more effective person. And if we as teacher do something to inspire, we'll reach the heart, and it's the heart that moves us, not our akal. Because most of us know it's good to do something, but we don't do it because our heart do not go for that. So always talking about the heart and inspiration. So let's reflect every day, are we making a living or living a life? Because if we're just making a living, we get the money we use for now, but for akhirah we have nothing. And also, this is more of thinking. I think we all leaders, we should be more great thinkers, because there's a saying that only 2% people think, 3% think that they think, and 95% would rather die than think. So I think we have to start by thinking and reflecting and changing ourselves before we change the world. So I put this slide because we want to ask ourselves, do we want to focus on self-development or self-promotion? When we do courses in university, is it to make our students a better person, or just to make them clever to get promoted for career and career pathway and become somebody? But I think if we focus on self-development, we become more effective, we get promoted easily. In other words, if we go for the akhirah, big mu'min professional mu'min, we get everything in life. Because if we go for Allah, we have the human. We go for the akhirah, we are sure to get the dunya. We don't have to chase after dunya, inshallah. So this comes to the concept of, do we work hard in our work or work hard on ourselves? Because if we work hard on ourselves, being holistic, in other words, we become very, our mind, our body is healthy. So we eat consciously, we take good health, we take plant-based food. We do not take all the dangerous food, all the high sugar food. We want to be healthy. Number 2, we want to be intellectually clever. We like to learn. We are very focused on ilm rather than news. And the 3rd, we focus on the positive emotion of being grateful and sincere and ikhlas. And number 4, of course, our spiritual connectedness. And we want to leave a legacy. Legacy is what Stephen Covey said, but I want to change to the Malay will call it pencen kubur, or the 3 amalan, the 3 things that we leave when we leave this world. Our children, our jariyah, and of course, our ilm. So I think we have to talk, as Prof. Kamal said, we have great responsibility to our young generation. I think the core thing we have to develop in all what we do is leadership. We have to empower them. They have to be leaders. And what's the definition of leadership? Ability to move people towards a goal. But before we are able to move people, we have to move ourselves first. In other words, all of us have to be a goal that we want to be someone who is professional, good in our work, at the same time, mu'min or mu'minah, very high accountability with Allah, with high ethics. Everything that we do, we become so independent of the good opinion of others, so we become really free. We are not worried about people's opinion about us. This is something we want to develop ourselves, inshallah. So the key to everything is be a leader to ourselves first. We change ourselves, we change our family, then we change our country and the nation and the world, of course, inshallah. So I think the key thing in self-development, we develop our children, our students, our workers, anyone for the love of Allah. Because if we don't love Allah and we don't have love in our heart, we have nothing. Because only when we have Allah, we have love, and if we have love, we have everything. Because we cannot do anything if we do not come from love. We cannot just order our staff if they do not feel they do not love us. And we cannot da'wah anyone who doesn't love us. So love is number 1. And of course, love for Rasul, we follow the Sunnah, and love for Akhirah. Can we make the word Akhirah all the time? And so in other words, we want to be Akhirah focused. That's the strength we as Muslim, as Islamic University, the word Akhirah, Allah's approval should be number 1. And the real tragedy or musibah is someone who deprives of ourselves of seeking Allah's pleasure. In trying to find the pleasure of our bosses, we leave Allah. That's why the shahada and the kalimah, la ilaha illallah, nothing but Allah inside us. If anything that is not what Allah, we remove everything. Just for Allah, inshallah. So we have to live very consciously. At every moment, we observe ourselves, not observe other people. So when we wake up in the morning, the headline of the newspaper is not the first thing. The news on the CNN or Bloomberg or whatever, not the first thing. The share market is not the first thing. The first thing that we wake up in the morning, audit our emotion. Are we happy? Are we calm? Are we grateful? If we are not happy, if we are not calm, there's so much sin in us. We have to tawbah more. That's why before we sleep, we have to forgive everyone and ask for forgiveness from our spouse and say love to our children and send love to everyone before we sleep and pray for everyone without them knowing that we pray for them. Inshallah, malaikah will pray for us, inshallah. So we have to be living consciously. So we want to live by design at every moment of our life, our health, what we eat, our mind, what we think, our heart, what we love, and our sense of connectedness to Allah must always be there consciously. So much so that we live, our body is with people, but our heart always with Allah. We call it I say in Malay, mata akal, mata physical, look at people, but mata hati with Allah. Always use your basirah, always use your inner eye of understanding, not just this physical eye. As you can see, doing the procedure, smile, take me only 2 minutes. It's so easy to correct the blurriness of people to physical eye, but blurriness of the heart to akhirah is something that all of us have to go towards. But until we correct our own eye of akhirah, blurriness, we cannot correct other people. So it begins with us. So of course, husnul khatimah is we want to have a death by design. Most people want to wear designer clothes, but we want life and death by design. How do we want to design our death? And we only die in a good manner if we live in a good manner, inshallah. So these are the 7 things I want to introduce. Let us reflect and see how many of these that we have. We want to live with Allah's consciousness or God consciousness. I would like to suggest that at every moment we're always cooperative and collaborative. We do not compete. We compete only if we have scarce mentality. Number 2, in any conversation or argument, Don't say argument, just conversation or discussion. We would rather be kind, silatul rahim first, then be right. Unless it is something that's core. For Aqidah, yes, we want to be stand. But for something, for small thing, it's all right. You just say, you are right about that, especially husband to the wife. Husband, agree? Yes. And of course, we want to have full of love for everyone. We see everyone, we just say, I'm going to meet all these people in Jannah, inshallah. Always see people with eyes of love. And we look for beauty in people and hikmah in any situation. So we don't blame. If we have something adverse, we say, what can I learn from this? How do I become a better person? How do I become closer to Allah? Always question. Because there's a Nobel laureate winner. We know how he was raised. Most of us, when children go to school, will ask, what do you learn today? But this Nobel laureate winner was asked by the mother, what good question have you asked your teacher today? So we teach our children, our students, to ask good questions. Until we ask a good question, we cannot find the answer and solution. So we'll be solution focused. And of course, we have to be very generous. Not just money, but love, appreciation, acknowledgement. We don't want to criticize people. As much as you don't want people to do, we don't do that. And we always learn and improve ourselves. We never stop learning. Be a lifelong learner. And of course, you want to know who you are, just look at the channel, TV that you watch. If there is no majlis ilmu every day you watch for 1 hour, we are in deep trouble. Because tazkirah is something that is essential for all of us. We have to didik our nafs with the tazkirah and ilm. And of course, we want to accept people for what they are. We be receptive. We don't want to be same, everyone. Appreciate the difference. And of course, let's see whether we have any of this ego consciousness. And ego, you know, edging God out. And shaitan was out of the heaven because of ego. So very competitive. Mine, ours. No, we don't want that. And we get offended easily. We get angry easily. And always want to be right. And very worried about reputation. What would the neighbor say? What would people say? Oh my God. Remove the word people. Always say Allah. And we must always be above the others. So this leads to jealousy. And we assess ourselves based on our acquisition, our title, what we have achieved. And for the ladies, maybe for the brand of watch or the handbags or whatever. And ladies, we have to reflect. Save money on your branded bags, buy more healthy food. And sometimes the danger is that we feel that what we achieve is because of our cleverness. I worked so hard, I burned the midnight oil, I scored this, oh mashallah. If you read the Hikam is one of the kitab Ibn Atta'illah Al-Sakandari. The first thing is, they said, hilang kewujudan diri. That means whatever you do, everything is Allah. So there's no arrogance. There's no space for us to be arrogant, because even the blink of your eye is Allah. We can't even make one eyelash. And believe me, when I do the smile, the amount of tissue that I remove is about 5 thickness of your hair. And you remove the power of 1,000 who only see 6 inches. After removing that, they can see everything within 4 hours. Subhanallah. The way, the sunnatullah, the rules that Allah gave, that we are able to calculate how much to do surgery. Subhanallah. So we are always having this, everything is Allah, so we don't become stingy. So this is something that let's reflect ourselves, which I used to do when I was young also. We have this victim mindset, I have to go. I have to, what would people say? These are all the way of mediocre living. We must say, I choose to go. Choice. We are not a victim. And we say, I should. You are shooting, you regret. We say, I could, choice. But I should is actually blaming. We tell our children, you should do this, you should do that to our children, but we also do not correct ourselves. How can we correct our children? And we always say, it's always me. It's not my fault. It's always me. It's their fault. Yeah? Why me? Why me? Why me? These are the questions we do not want to ask. Oh, I have nothing. For the Malays in this country, if someone gives you a compliment, biasa-biasa aja. Okay lah. Can we remove that, the Malays, please? Yeah? Be confident. If someone gives you a compliment, Alhamdulillah, thank you so much. Everything belongs to Allah. But be appreciative. Be glad that Allah gives you the ni'mah, inshallah. So we want to have a generation that make choices, not excuses. Successful people make choices. I could, I choose to, not make excuses. I want to go, but she's nice, but the but. Your English is good, but your children, you are good in maths, but we change the word to you are good in maths, and if you improve your English, you'll become better. So remove the word but to end. So if you give compliments someone, you give all the compliments, you say but, you remove the compliment already. So it's about words, and words only come from our thinking. And the thinking leads to a feeling. Yeah, positive thinking, positive feeling, positive action, positive result. So if you want to know how your thoughts have been all this while, look at your result. Look at your health. Look at your wealth. Look at your happiness. Look at your inner peace. If you don't have any of this, go back to our thinking. So successful people say goodbye to excuses. And excuses come when we are not committed. Interested people do what is convenient. Like the committed people who come on time today, do whatever it takes to be on time, to enjoy and learn. Because for every step that we take for majlis, the malaikah and all the other makhluk will pray for us, masyaAllah. If only we know the importance of majlis ilm. So this is something that I think if only the university, when we teach our students, the policy makers, this has to be the tagline. How can I serve? Not how much CGPA I get. Our KPI is about CGPA. It's not the benefit. So that is why when we teach our students, they must study for the love of study. They must study because it's something Allah will love. They must study because the knowledge will benefit. And Allah loves people who benefit. Again, if we are akhirah focused, Allah focused, we want Allah's love, all our action will be towards that. And believe me, there's no competition, not trying to approve. And that's why I want to share 3A we must not have. The 3A, number 1, seeking approval of others. Number 2, acquisition of wealth, non-stop. I want to have 20 cars, 20 homes, one here, one there. When you sleep only one bed and sit only one chair and eat only one plate. So we do acquisition. It's better to give as much as you have. Then number 3 is achievement driven, very high achievement. Okay, so the words, how can I serve? Not what's in for me? Why should I do this? I don't get anything from here. We don't want that. And here's something important concept. Ambition versus meaning. Ambition is something that when we were small, what's your ambition? I want to be a doctor. Yeah? Ambition is something that you have to wait until you achieve it. And ambition is something that people see. But meaning is something that you find inside you. And you can enjoy the meaning at every moment. Because if you meet a person and you smile at them, they feel good, meaningful, sunnah, you get your barakah, you get your malaikat will chat it for you already. Because meaning is something you consciously, I must do something meaningful that is not harmful to me or others. So I'm only generating high account on my right side. Inshallah, in akhirah, in Masha, I'll have a lot of account. So we have to be very, very conscious all the time. And meaning is something we achieve every moment. Ambition, we have to wait. So we cannot enjoy the journey. And here's something also nice that, the world has to learn. We must love people, use money. In other words, when we're in university, we're administrator, try to make things easy for people. Be people who make things easy for others. Don't try to make things difficult. Don't try to make ourselves so significant that, people have to go through. We are very hierarchical, very protocol. Try to be simple. Come on, all of us. None of us, when we die, we have songket material to cover our body. It's just plain white cloth. We all here, of course, we have certain title. Yes, Allah give you the title, the post for the purse, but for the responsibility will be questioned, everything. So we are administrators or leaders of university. Imagine the thousands of people that will lead. Please, for me, I think, if only we have the intention that all people under us will go to Jannah together with us, then that is the number one in life. Always think of someone. You do not want anyone to go to hell. Imagine if your worst enemy, a slight fire, you'll help them. What more in akhirah? We want everyone to go to Jannah with us, inshallah. Not love, money, use people. No? Okay. So we know that happiness, fulfillment, and purpose. So when we live our life, the formula of success, with purpose, purposeful driven, then we'll be okay. It is an inner concept. And it's something that one concept that I would like to all of us to introduce about self-realization. Most motivation, we talk about self-development. Yes, but I think self-realization, we know who we are, where we come from. Yeah, we come from the Ruh to the Rahim for 9 months, and while we're in the uterus, nobody questioned, how is my nose like this? When is my ear going to come out? Nobody questioned. We are so ubudiyah inside there. After 9 months, the parents said, let us take from here. Then the parents start trying to shape the children according to what they want, which is not. We have to always live in this dunya just for a small time for us to be tested, because if we don't have the dunya, there's no test, we cannot get the marks in the akhirah. So we consider everything is a test, and we fail not because of the wrong question, but the wrong answer. And in the exam, we give our students exam, we ask the students, exam, we know some pass, some fail, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when Allah gives us a test, we can always ask the answer from Allah. Imagine an exam, excuse me, what's the answer? So we, every moment of our life, we can get the answer from Allah. We just dua and of course salah, inshallah. So successful people bring success in all they do. That's the definition. So even if our student do not see GPA 4, but they are kind, they are loving, they are understanding, they are disciplined, they keep the salah, they are gentle, they are always eager for knowledge, they always want to learn, I think they are successful already. So we have to write the narrative of success. It's not about outside living. Outside to inside living is from inside out living, where people consciously control their thoughts, control the feelings, action determine the result, and this concept of what we have is what we give, and what we give is what we get. So if we get something bad because we have given something bad, and we can only give something bad because we have bad inside. That's why you have to tazkiyatun nafs very, very strong. Your akhlaq, your tasawwuf must be strong, not just your akidah and sharia. You know the rukun of religion is akidah, ibadah and akhlaq. And akhlaq is something that we have to stress for our students, make it one of the KPI. So what is true success, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters in Islam? Jannatul Firdaus. That's the highest thing. If we come today not for this purpose, then we have to reflect again. I end this session. I thank you truly and pray that all of you, Allah give hidayah and tawfiq to become better servant of Allah and make Firdaus our aim and love everyone like our own brothers and sisters. I ask for forgiveness if there's anything that I say that is not to your liking. Wabillahi tawfiq wa hidayah. Wassalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Mohaya, for that very enlightening talk. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like now to invite Professor Emeritus Dr. Hud Saleh as our second speaker to present his topic pertaining to intergenerational training and success. Silakan, Prof.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Distinguished guests from far away and from near, ladies and gentlemen, as Professor Mohaya was talking about the eye and related issues, I was about to think about what the brain does and what the heart does to the eye, the makhluk of Allah. I have a son. He's what we call a person with autism, 23 years old now. He looks at things differently, but he's a wonderful person. He teaches me things. He turns things inside out and upside down. It's not very easy to get a son like that. And when there is the azan, he tells me it's azan, and he goes to pray. And he goes to pray. And when he comes back, he sees me at the TV, and he said, he has prayed. Yeah? At night, before he goes to sleep, he also prays, and then he tells me that he's going to sleep. But if he hears me still awake, he comes back to me. Have you prayed? But the point about this, that he's a great teacher, and he corrects my wayward behavior, yeah, to follow the straight path, yeah, relevant to the maqasid, Sharia. But in other things, we have a paradox. We have a paradox of the day. We have to train and retrain people like him. This is the issue, to what we think to be, so that he becomes normal. Yeah? He becomes normal. But his brain and his perceptions are different, so we retrain him. So from ophthalmology, I want to bring you to anthropology, all right? Looking at people and their perceptions and living in groups, Today, I will say something first about what happened yesterday. Yesterday, we had His Royal Highness talking, of course, on reclaiming of values, universal values, forgive that spelling, and the confusion and the need for new narratives. This is what we are here today for. And our good friend from Cambridge talks about a perspective from the West with a capital W, often, sometimes, and often very little understood because of the problems of understanding, because of different perceptions. And he talked about the balance and harmony and the peace. And he also reminded us to remember that what is happening in villages and what is happening in kampongs, our very own kampongs, have many secrets to reveal, for which I would like to refer afterwards, later on in this talk. And Tan Sri Zul, forever reminding us about education, reminding us about what things we should not forget when we talk about sustainability, a very, very big word today. There are things about sustainability that are not sustainable. If we read today criticisms about the concept, it is more about things that has been done to concepts of sustainability than to anything else. We talk about delusions, we talk about little people, we talk about big industries. How are they interconnected in sustainability? Those are very big issues. So we are today talking more about things like this. And I like to touch on the concept of leadership. Leadership and what I call a screen that is interlocuting between people and what they see. If we talk about a leader, who really is a leader? When is a leader not a leader? Look also at egalitarian communities, egalitarian societies. They are different. They are very different. A headman is often not a leader. A young man can be a leader in such communities. We'll come back to that. So leadership and a screen. Then what then is leadership? So if we look at the screen through which we look at reality, this is important. When I work with indigenous people, I'm always very conscious. When I ask them questions, they will answer. But very often, it's not the truth. It's not the truth. They will answer to what you want to hear, right? And unless you write that manuscript, you write that narrative, the second narrative, by staying there and looking at them, working with them, living with them, learning the categories of the language, you will not understand what they are saying. Now, the screen of Malay culture is the screen used by the indigenous people in this country, the Orang Asli, to tell you about their culture. I'll talk to you about that. There are examples. And when you talk about things like leadership and harmony, you'll have to know who really are the leaders in that community. So in one instance also, when you talk about peace, this is a great thing about Orang Asli. They are people of peace. They are not people who are dangerous, who have bad intentions towards others. No. They are people who deliver what they want to do with an aura of peace, with an aura of harmony. We have to learn that. Now, the West wanted to learn about peace from the Orang Asli. This goes back to 1962, when my friend Robert Denton from the University of New York wrote about the Semai, a non-violent people of Malaya. Now, what he talked about was how the Semai never learned anything, never teach anything that's violent at all. Yeah? They will not hit their children. Yeah? And this goes right through the leadership. The leader is called a batin, a penghulu, a headman. All right? But as another researcher, Jeffrey Benjamin, said, one word from the leader, one word from the batin or headman, and everyone does anything they like. That is a characteristic of egalitarian societies. When we talk about leadership, what leadership are you talking about? We are talking about consensus. We're talking about peace. We're talking about give and take between each other. These are dimensions. What the eye sees when a researcher goes in and he sees a batin, he thinks the batin is a man of power. Malays think about it like that, right? Prof. Mohaya? A batin is a strong man, yeah? He's a man of power. He is no such thing, yeah? He is a man of peace. He knows what balance is about. And he treats relatives and so on as they are, yeah? So socialization and acculturation of values must be something you have to know. What did they enculturate when they see outsiders? Orang Asli call Malays, outsiders, gob. Yeah, gob. And one of the names is gob, which simply means upstart. Upstart. Arrogant. Just like the Maori call the whites the pakeha. Pakeha. Yeah? There are several interpretations of that. But one of them is quite bad. White monkey. Yeah? Things like that. Now, getting into the categories of the local people is one thing that's very, very imperative, very critical when we want to study about leadership. The leadership is an aura created by the community to discuss and to make resolutions of a peaceful nature. Yeah? Now, the power of dreams plays a part in this, according to Robert Denton. But this became quite controversial. Many people came to study, really, if the Semai, the dream people, actually believe in dreams. By manipulation of dreams, dreaming something good and manipulating the events of the day so that they can dream it and resolve their dream. And for a while, they created a dream network in California, mainly, California, and it's so. The psychiatrists were people who make good telling about the Semai of Malaya. But that sort of died out now. Yeah. Now, the background of my paper is to be looking at what happens in little communities, what happens in terms of training, in terms of how we can actually be with them when we train them, and how the little community looks at the larger context of society and religion, which is brought from outside, causing often conflict of various types. Now, these are issues that are sensitive for indigenous people, and we need to be looking more at that. I will go over some of the, I'm talking about success, of course, the planning, the consideration of intergenerational support and sustainable commitment by state agencies, of course, are very, very critical inside that. Yeah? I'll refer to some planning of leadership by our government here, and what was always very successful was if they had consultation with the local people. Politicians often come and tell them things and say, there's a lot of money for this and that. But it's not the money that they want. They want the friendship of the outsiders, the closeness, the understanding, the empathy. So the way forward for this, to cut a story short, is to emphasize several things. I'll just mention them. Understanding the extent of cultural diversity, then replacing a realistic narrative of development in place of an outmoded one. 3, da'wah methodology that is more accountable, and consistency and equity in execution of local and development projects. And 5, awareness and consultative approaches in cases of conflict of religion, origins, and with the local groups. So I'm talking about basically groups on the Malay Peninsula. There are others which have been studied, of course. My interest in indigenous people of the world always brings me back to my own local indigenous people. There are 850 villages of Orang Asli, 852 in this country. Latest census shows them to be 178,000 people. There'll probably be 200,000 now, speaking some 12 languages and living in about 8 different named communities. These named communities are names, and these are names given by outsiders, basically. Now, research done were presented in different parts of the world on how government tried to change them and so on and help them. And I have some material on that which showed success and which showed failures as well. Now, this is the money spent on government. This is the side which shows a kind of positive, consultative approach with indigenous people. And here, I don't know whether you can see it clearly, but I can't. Yeah? In cases where in education you have students not coming to school, what were the reasons? Now this, it has worried the government a lot. And I gave them my reasons. My reasons are that they didn't come to school because their parents brought them into the forest to look for risky, yeah, to look for food, things to sell to the outsider. So I suggested get the parents to come, give them classes, give them money to compensate for their trips into the forest. And this was done. And this was done, and the result was 100% attendance. So some of the issues look complex, but they're actually quite simple. Yeah? Now, looking at Al-Mizan, since we have Ahmad Keeler here, and he brought all these weird ideas into us, into this seminar, I don't think it's that weird. I think we ought to be looking at Al-Mizan, Ahmad Keeler style. And Ahmad, have a look at this. Are you looking? You are. All right. Looking at Al-Mizan at the level of the kampung. Yeah? A life of balance at the kampung. I took the trouble last night to prepare some of these images from my photos taken over the years. A life of balance. Is that clear? The first thing about a life of balance must be an assurance about solidarity with security. Solidarity, social solidarity, cultural values, and of course a sense of being with the community. Here it shows grandma. The grandpa was not there. but I'm sure grandpa is somewhere. Yeah? So grandma is the pivotal person with the pivotal role there. She is the center. She's the center. She tells the little children about all stories, all kinds of stories, and these stories are taken seriously by the children. And if you look into these stories are the educational aspects of training of young children until they grow up, and when they are made to learn stories from outside as well. At the village of the level, the security is provided by the sense of solidarity of the people in the village. Look at this one, a small plot around the house, a simple life with a cool river nearby. This is the kampong, a beautiful kampong in Pahang. If you have the time, we'll go there, and not just you, our friends here as well. Spare some time. Okay. Now, then, secrets of beauty. The beauty is spoken of in the village. The village is surrounded by beauty. It is often looked upon as a place where there's not much going on. In fact, around the house of any orang asli, you will find plants, medicinal plants, right at the doorstep, under the doorstep, around down towards the kitchen. Just where you sit down, you can find more than 10 plants at any time. Yeah. The place is called Rapohan, yeah, a round place, and it is not being planted or cultivated on a large scale, but it's all there. All the elements, all the ingredients of beauty. That's in front of my brother. This is not my brother, this is his son. That's his wife. Where? So that's my adopted brother and his daughter. Yeah, I said, demonstrate to us what things there are around here that gives you a sense that you are beautiful, or you can make people beautiful. And that she is. Yeah, that's the daughter. Within about 20 minutes, it's arranged, and we took photographs. Yeah. So this can be duplicated. This can be replicated elsewhere. There is so much, except that we are not sure. We don't know. But if you stay there, you will find out all the secrets of the rainforest. And talking about the rainforest, there is nothing that we should just dismiss. The rainforest has a presence. And not just rainforest, trees. Trees have a cognitive presence as far as Orang Asli is concerned. Now the research is into how this cognitive influence by the forest, by trees around the forest, smaller trees in the dusun, like Malays like, yeah, the dusun gives them a sense of peace, yeah, a sense of being very, very secure there. And they get that peace and security through the forest as well. So do not encourage forests to be cut down. If it's necessary to get some money out of it, then let it be. That we look at the balance first then. Yeah? Don't just cut down all kinds of trees, because these trees have a medicinal impact on the life of the people. What happened? Ritual playthings. I included this because ritual is an important part of life anywhere, in our own life and in the life of people, the simple life we think. But behind these rituals is a large body of knowledge. You cannot gain much if you don't know enough about the religion, the elements of the medicine, and most of all, the myths and the legends supporting this religion. Yeah. They may not be Muslims, they may not be Christians, but these were things that they hang on to. They hung on to over the generations and give them a sense of security. That thing you wear on the head, yeah, it now looks like a touristic thing, yeah? Yeah, but it is called a jari lipan for Orang Asli, yeah? Jari lipan. You put it on because it gives you a sense of ceremony, sense of participation. And for, of course, little children, knowledge and education, sense of values of what our traditions are. Now, nature and labor, ways of tradition, the old ways of planting hill paddy, hill rice, vegetables, yeah, and so on, catching fish, they are all still there as far as we can see. But if the land is taken away, and for our country, of course, the indigenous people are governed by an act of law called Act 134, which does not happen to give ownership of the land to the people living on the land. This is the great tragedy. And I speak out about this, and many people, NGOs, try to change this law, but it still remains. After 58 years, this is still a great problem. The National Task Force on this does try to change it, but somehow, indigenous people are not getting their land, except if they are, the land is given away to a big project, like building a dam. Yeah? The dams which provide water for Singapore. Yeah? There was a great deal of problem there. And this is still something that is historically very significant. The dams, when there's not enough water for this country, for the state of Selangor, so we get the water from Pahang, things like that. There are huge problems there. Now, the art behind the scenes, the thinking, the artistic life of Orang Asli is something that's legion. They can sculpture here in this case, spirits of the forest, and of course, spirits that can bring about wellness and so on. And this has been discouraged because it's bid'ah. Yeah? So that's one of the things that happens here, of course. Yeah? So they're not going to be doing this very much. And indeed, it has died out. Now, foundations of a good life is family. The family is still something that's very important for Orang Asli. The family now is a complicated family. If you have 7 children there, what complicates it even more would be mobile phones. Mobile phones. So if you find young people from these communities leave the village, it's to get enough money to buy mobile phones and to top up the mobile phone. And often my brothers, my adopted brothers call me, could you top up my handphone? You could top up my mobile. Say, yes, but you must work too. Yeah? Anyway, some of the conclusions I like to talk about were the questioning of leadership. The leadership, what kind of leadership are we talking about when we are discussing what we mean, what we want to happen in our society. And for Orang Asli, as I mentioned, leadership is no real problem. It's the outside agencies which are the problem. And the time will come one day when we can have people coming to visit us, they say. And what we want from the outsiders is for you to come and be with us and talk with us and give us friendship. Yeah. Okay? There are more pictures, but I think we should discuss these things more. And thank you very much for listening.